Hey guys, it's Stacy Horton, your lifeline to home realtor with Maximum One Greater Atlanta Realty. We're going to go over the home buying steps today. Especially for first-time home buyers, some things can be a little bit intimidating. It is things that you haven't gone through before, and it can be tedious. It could be a long process. It can sometimes even get annoying. Um, so I'm going to go over some of the things so that you'll know what to expect. And, you know, if you have any questions, just let me know. You can put it in the comment section below, or you can send me an email, which I'll give at the end of this video, and I'll also have it in the comment section. And that way I can either do more videos and answer those questions or contact you directly, and we can discuss whatever it is you need to know about, or if you're ready to go ahead and start your home search. So the first step is finding out what your credit score is. Due to COVID, the minimum requirements have gone up. There are some lenders that will still um, go down a little bit. The minimum score now is 620 for FHA or VA. It used to be 580. April 1st of this year, they changed it to 620. I have run across a few lenders that will start at like 600. But the better, as in anything, the better your credit score is, the better interest rates you'll have, the better terms you'll have. So 620 is the minimum score you need to have for FHA or VA. For conventional, it's a little bit higher, and it just left my brain. I'm sorry. I'll get back to you as soon as it gets in my head. But what you need to do is find a lender. And it's okay to compare. Some people, they feel like, well, if I have my credit pulled one time, it brings my score down, so I don't want a bunch of people pulling it. The good thing is when you are buying a product, whether it be, say, a house or a car, as long as you do it within a 30-day period, you can have 200 people pull it. I wouldn't advise that because that's, you know, that gets a bit hectic. But you can shop around for the best rate. What you would want to do to have the best rate so that your monthly payments aren't as high, and at the end of the life of the loan, you're paying less money. So the better interest rate you have, the better terms you have, the more money you actually save. So again, the higher your credit score, the better terms you have, and it is okay to shop around for that interest rate. Sometimes some people find their lender first, and then that lender refers an agent. Sometimes the person will find a realtor first, and that realtor can refer an agent, a lender. We actually normally refer you to about two or three so that you can pick and choose who you would like to work with. But if it doesn't matter which one comes first, sometimes you may have a lender. It may be your credit union, it may be your bank, and you see a house that you like, you call Zillow, and they contact you with a realtor. It doesn't really matter, but just make sure that you ask certain questions and make sure that it's somebody that you can work with. Again, personalities do matter. Some people you can talk to and really get into what you need and want, and they understand what you're saying, and you can understand what they're saying. And then there are some people who are just not compatible. And during this process, because it can be so highly stressful and can be so intimidating and so frustrating, you do want someone that you feel compatible with. So when you apply for that mortgage loan, you're going to get what is called a pre-approval letter. And what they do is they take your credit score, they take your income, and they take your debt to income ratio. Sorry. They take your income, they take your credit score, and they take your debt to income ratio. And that's how they come up with what is the maximum amount that you can borrow. Uh, so your debt to income ratio, which we refer to as DTI, is a ratio of how much income you have coming in and how much debt you're paying out per month. That debt will include things such as your car notes, student loans, things of that matter. So, and if you have a high, say you're bringing in $5,000 a month, but you're also spending out $4,500 a month. That is a high debt to income ratio, and so the amount you qualify for is going to be a little bit lower than what your income may say that you actually can afford. But that's because they want to make sure that you can pay your mortgage, but still pay all your other bills, and hopefully even still save some money and live and do some of the things you want to do. If you want to travel, if you like to eat out, things of that nature. So that's very important that you get that number and you get that pre-approval letter. And it's also comfortable. You need to discuss with the lender and with your realtor what monthly payment you're comfortable with paying, because that can also bring down what you want to look at. So once you get that pre-approval letter, you need to send it to your realtor. And what that letter states is that you are conditionally approved for X amount of dollars. And if you find a house and put an offer in, that letter needs to go with that offer just to show the seller you can qualify for a loan. No one wants to go through the process of buying a home and the seller's house is off the market for 30 days and then find out in the end that you couldn't even get pre-approved or get qualified for that loan. So when you get your pre-approval letter and you're working with your realtor should ask, what are you looking for? What are your needs? What are your wants? How many bedrooms do you need? How many bathrooms? Is a basement a deal breaker for you? Do you have to have it? Does it have to be finished? Does it matter if it's unfinished? Do you need a big backyard? Do you want acres? Do you want a subdivision? No HOA? All those type of things are things that you need to discuss with your realtor. And some things are some things are deal breakers for some people, where some people, they may say, I just need a 3-bedroom, but if you find a 4, I'm fine. Some people may say, I don't care whether I have a basement or not, they're fine. Then there are some people that are like, I have to have a basement, and if the house doesn't have a basement, I don't even want to look at it. So once you get that criteria down with your realtor will start pulling homes, and you're free to look. There are a lot of homes online nowadays. Almost all the homes are for sale are online. Your realtor will see most of those same homes, but we also have access to see homes that have not come on the market yet. It may be 2 or 3 days before they're actually going live. They can reach out to other realtors and say, I have a buyer that's looking for XYZ up to X amount of dollars. What do you have coming? And in this climate, the spring and summer has always been a high sale point because people are trying to move in between the school years. So if they do have to change schools, their kids are already acclimated into the home and they're not changing schools once school has started. So they'll actually try to buy at the end of the spring and during the summer. With COVID-19, we did think it was going to slow down. It actually has picked up even more. Mostly because the interest rates are so low right now. So there are tons and tons of buyers out there, and we're actually in a market where there are more buyers than sellers. So you may get in a situation when you find a house that you may end up being in a multiple offer situation, which has been very, very common lately. And we'll talk about multiple offer situations in another video and how you can get your offer approved, or hopefully approved. So you can start looking at homes in Zillow. Your realtor will start looking at homes in what we call the MLS system, multiple listing search. And what that does is we can pull up all the houses that are in a certain price bracket in a certain area, and all different things, and pull them up. And your realtor will email them to you, and you can tell them, okay, I'm interested in this house. I would like to go see this house. You can even send them homes that you may see on Zillow or Redfin, or if you're driving and you see a new subdivision popping up and you're like, hey, I want to go look at those, just contact your realtor. They'll set up everything for you to go with your schedule, seller schedule, and then you can go start looking. Sometimes you may find something the first day. Sometimes it may take you a month. It just all really depends on the area you're in, what you're looking for, the price point that you're in. So now say you found your dream home. You and your realtor will discuss what offer you want to put, what purchase price you would like to pay for that house. Say they're asking for 250,000. You may only want to pay 242,000. So you can discuss that with your realtor, who will also do what is called a CMA, comp analysis, to see how much that house is actually worth. And it could come back that that house is worth 250,000. It could come back that it's worth even more than that, but the sellers need to move quickly, or there's some other things that's going on that makes them have a lower price. So say you want to pay 242 and you want the seller to contribute some money towards closing. That's all something that you'll discuss with your realtor. It could be 2,000, it could be 2,500. You may say, I don't want the seller to pay anything, hoping that they'll accept your offer, and that makes it a stronger offer. So you may say, I have my closing cost money, so I don't need anything from the seller. So now, say your offer is I was going to say accepted by the seller, but let me go back one step. Once you send that offer in, there may be some things that the seller wants to negotiate, such as purchase price, such as closing date, such as closing cost contribution from them, such as earnest money, closing attorney, some of your stipulations. If you have a VA or FHA loan, it is mandatory that the seller provides a wood infestation clearance letter, again, termite letter, which they can have a company come in and inspect and give them that letter. You know, you may want a home warranty, and the seller says, I don't want to give the home warranty. And there may be a few other things that you can stipulate. The closing day may be fine with the seller, but they may need a week or two or 1 or 2 days before they can move out, so they can negotiate that possession date by you. So say you've gone through all of that, the offer is accepted. So now you have your due diligence period, which is also negotiable. Generally, it's about 10 days, but you can make it 1 day, you can make it 12 days, you can make it 15 days. But during that period, that's when you want to have your inspection done. You're going to turn everything into the lender and the closing attorney, all the paperwork, and then you're going to also have your inspection. It's good once you have gone binding, and that means both parties have signed and the agents have accepted there's a little place we have to sign at the bottom saying that we've accepted and all parties have signed. It is very good at that point, or even if you have a verbal but you're still waiting for the paperwork to come back, it's very good at that point to contact your inspector and schedule your inspection. The sooner you get it done, the better. So you have your inspection, and it's on inspection day. Generally, the inspector wants to be there by themselves, and it takes, depending on the size of the house, it can take anywhere from an hour to 4 hours. They'll normally ask you to come the last 30 minutes of that time, and they'll give you a time so that they can go over everything that they found. And then they'll write up a report, and generally you'll get it within 24 to 48 hours. Some inspectors are really good in getting it back to you that night. So you'll go over the inspection and see what's wrong with the house. And I'm going to tell you, I don't care if it's new construction, they are going to find something. It could be something as simple as a GFCI outlet is not working properly. It could be something, the gutters need to be cleaned. It could be something serious that they see some foundation issues. The inspector will write down what they find, and then they'll also recommend what you can do about it. It could be that they recommend you have a certified roof inspector come out and inspect the roof because they may have seen something that's questionable in the roof. They may say, we saw this in the basement, mold or water, so they may say you need to have a waterproofing company come out here and take a look at it, or a mold remediation company to come out and look at it. Some things can be done by a handyman. Say it's the stair rail, handrail is loose. That can be done by a handyman. Then there are some things that have to be done by a licensed professional, plumbing, electrical, roofing, things of that nature. So I normally tell my clients, let's focus on safety issues. If it's something cosmetic, say they had pictures hanging up and there's some holes in the wall, the inspector may comment on it, but unless it's really, really bad, you really don't want to ask the seller to, I shouldn't say you don't want to ask, but that's minor when it comes to, there may be a plumbing issue that needs to be addressed that's going to be more expensive. So you kind of want to weigh what you ask the seller to fix according to price, and according to whether it's safety, is it cosmetic, is it structural, because they can find structural issues. Is the HVAC unit on its last leg? That may be something the inspector says you need to have an HVAC guy come out and check it out. Those are the things that you really want to pay attention to. And you may even realize too, okay, I'm getting the home warranty, so some things I'm not going to worry about because I can have the home warranty take care of it once something happens. So you get your repairs, you get your inspection report, you get the repairs that you want to request from the seller. So you and your agent will go over. Your agent will write the amendment out, and it's called Amendment to Address Concerns. We usually just say ATAC or repair request. And your agent will put everything on there that you asked to be fixed. And they'll also, some agents will send the whole inspection report over. Some agents, like myself, I will just highlight what we're requesting, just to make it easier for everybody to look at the reference. Instead of going through, their inspection report could be 48 pages. So instead of them coming through 48 pages, you may just have 2 pages of what you need to have done. So that's, again, negotiation. The seller can refuse to fix any of it. They can say, well, I'll fix these items, but not this one. They say, we don't want to fix any of it. And again, that's something that's negotiable. If you cannot get to a happy medium between you and the seller, this is legally the time that you can go ahead and terminate the contract and say, okay, well, if you don't want to fix this, I don't want to buy the house. And you receive your earnest money back if you've already paid it by that point. That's another thing. When you do your earnest money, your agent will put in how many days that money is due. Say it's 3 days and you go binding on Tuesday. Your earnest money will be due, because remember, day 1 starts on Wednesday. So your earnest money would be due by Friday. But say your inspection was done on Thursday, and on Friday, it's due Friday by midnight. So say on Friday, you still haven't come to terms, you actually can terminate. And since you haven't paid the earnest money yet, you don't have to worry about it coming back to you. But say you have paid the earnest money, then when you send in your termination, it will say on there, well, there's a space for the realtor to put on there that the earnest money is returned to buyer. And it's a unilateral termination where you don't have to have the seller sign the termination part, but they do have to sign the return of earnest money part. But let's say this is a good deal. You guys agree on everything, and so now we move forward. You have an option as well when you put in that request to end due diligence once it's agreed upon, or to continue your due diligence because, say, the house you really, really wanted, or there was another house you really, really wanted, comes back on the market on day 8, and you want to get that house. You can go ahead and terminate. Some people feel that that's not fair to the seller, but it is an option that you have. So after you've agreed to the once you agree to the repair request, usually the lender has already started their part where they're have contacted the closing attorney. The closing attorney is doing the title search. The lender is getting all the paperwork together to go to the underwriter. And it depends on the lender, but usually that's getting close to the time when the appraisal is going to be requested. The appraiser is not chosen by anyone, not the lender, not the buyer, not the seller, the agents. Nobody gets to pick who the appraiser is. They have to remain neutral. The lender does put in the order for an appraisal, and it goes into a system, and an appraiser picks it up. And then they have so many days to complete that appraisal and have the appraisal report turned in. The appraisal is a very, very big deal because it's basically saying, okay, we're purchasing this house for $242,000. The house must appraise for at least $242,000. For the lender to let you borrow that amount of money. Say the appraisal comes in lower, this is something that you can negotiate with the seller. They can say it comes in at $238,000. That's a $4,000 difference. They may decide, okay, we'll bring the price, go ahead and bring the purchase price down to that, but now we don't want to give you closing costs. That's fine if that's what you want to do. As long as you cannot agree before your appraisal contingency is over, you can terminate under that appraisal contingency. If it's after the appraisal contingency, then you still can't terminate, but there you can lose your earnest money and some other things can go on. But let's say it appraised. Yay, everything went well. So now most of the stuff is still with the underwriter and they're combing through everything. You are going to be asked to turn in bank statements, paycheck stubs, W-2s, IRS transcripts. If you have a large deposit, if you have a large withdrawal, they may even ask for explanations for it. They may even ask for some canceled checks, possibly. You know, there are a lot of things that they just may ask. There may be some stuff going on with their student loans and they request for documents from that. If you are getting child support, they may request court orders for that. It just, once they go through your file, and everybody's situation is different, you will get what is called an approval with conditions. And part of those conditions could be that paperwork that they're waiting for. It could even just be we're waiting on the appraisal. It will behoove you to get that paperwork turned in as quickly as possible. Sometimes you may have to go to the bank to get them to write up something for you. You may have to comb through records to find stuff. There has been some trouble lately with getting IRS transcripts, and some lenders are because of COVID, and some lenders are finding ways to work around that. So generally about a week before closing, you may get your clear to close. But I've also seen the clear to close not even come in till the day of closing. But 3 days before closing, the lender needs to send out what is called a closing disclosure, or CD. That has to be signed by you by midnight, at least 3 days before closing date by law. That disclosure basically itemizes everything that you're paying for, your loan origination, the mortgage amount, what your down payment is, what your closing costs are, what your monthly payments will be, what is your HOA fees if you have HOA, your homeowner's insurance. Everything will be itemized down there to the penny. And at the very bottom, it will say what you need to take to closing. In today's market, and when I say today, I mean the last quite a few years, if it is over a certain dollar amount, that money has to be wired. It is best to wire it at least a day or two before closing, just in case. Sometimes if you don't get it into a certain time, it doesn't get wired out to the next day. Sometimes it can, I won't say get lost in cyberspace, but because of cyberspace, usually a wire can happen within minutes. But sometimes it may take an hour or two to show up or something of that nature. So you don't want to have a 1 o'clock closing and you just wired your money at 12:30 on your way to the closing table. It is a very high chance that it's not going to be there once you get to the closing table. And it can hold, you can still sign, but it can hold up the money being dispersed. And if you're, say you're buying a home, or the seller is buying another home, they could be counting on that money to go ahead and go close for the next one. And so it can just hold up a lot of things. The money that you wire, you got that amount from the closing disclosure. It is highly possible when you get to the closing table that you actually needed to send in a little bit less. I have seen buyers get a check back at the closing table because they overpaid by $200, overpaid by $5, but you will get your money back. I've also seen it where something most of the time it's the taxes. It may be something that came up with the taxes or whatever, and you may have to come to the closing table with a check for $200. The closing attorney will always ask you to bring a personal check because up to a certain dollar amount, you can write a personal check, or they may say a cashier's check. Or I've even had it to where there was literally an $8 difference in what the person had wired and what they had to pay, and they didn't have any checks. So they just ran to the bank, which was luckily down the street from the closing attorney, got cash. Not all closing attorneys will accept cash, but this one, because it was just $8, they were like, we'll go ahead and accept the cash. But you can also just get a money order or a cashier's check while you're there for whatever amount it is you need to do. So at the closing table, you will sign a lot of paperwork. Part of that is about the title, the home, the title insurance, and then the other part of that will be all about the mortgage. So once you finish signing, you're done. You've bought a house, you get your keys, the garage door opener. If you are taking possession that day, I'm sorry guys. If you are taking possession that day, you can move in that day, you can move in the next day. If you're not taking possession till a couple of days later, there's usually a time like by such and such date at whatever time y'all agreed upon, and then you can go move in and you've bought your first home. If you have any questions or if you want to make any comments, just make them below. You can always email me at lifelinetohome@gmail.com. And it's not the number 2, it is TO, lifelinetohome@gmail.com. I hope this was informative. I hope I didn't go too fast. I'm going to do another video about some of these steps where I'm just focusing on like cost and a few other things, but I didn't want to make the video too long, so I just kind of generally went through what to expect. So I will see you guys later. Hope you have a great day and happy